Mary, Jeffrey, Sheila, Ken, Karina, Mike, Beverly are all here to play Larry Grayson's Generation Game.
You switch on the telly expecting to be entertained and all you get is a load of bloody rubbish night after night. I may as well be watching that bloody clown Baggy Hi-Fi than watch this rubbish. Greetings cats and kittens, welcome once again to Baggy Hi-Fi, this YouTube channel devoted to record collecting and the vinyl community here in the UK. Now the plan for this new video was to do something a little bit different. I was wanting to do a sort of a travelogue, just a sort of a day in the life of a record collector or a day in the life of a record hunter. Because I don't know about you, I presume you are a record collector because you're watching this video, whether you like to scour the charity shops or whether you are above that kind of thing, whether you just like to buy records from record shops or maybe from Discogs or online. I know quite a few people don't really enjoy scouring the charity shops because they don't think they're going to find anything decent or in decent condition. But John Bellamy, who's on the VC, he was saying the other day in a comment that the thrill of finding a good record amongst all the rubbish in a charity shop is a life-affirming experience, and I would agree with him because the other week I had a great experience shopping in Gosforth, which is a suburb of Newcastle upon Tyne. I live in the northeast of England, and found some amazing records for £1 each, including some jazz rock rarities. And so I thought this next video would be quite fun to do one showing you me on my day off, going around a few towns in search of cheap records in charity shops. But in the meantime, another lockdown has been announced for England by our Prime Minister Boris Johnson, and that begins Thursday. Today is Monday, so we only have a few days left really to do record shopping in shops, charity shops, because non-essential shops will be closing once again, and it's going to be quite a strict lockdown. So I know it's not the end of the world, that it means we can't go record shopping. Let's hope that the lockdown works and that it does decrease the amount of people who catch and suffer or die from COVID. So this planned video, which I did film last Wednesday, takes on a different tone really, because it will be the last time I'll be able to do this kind of thing for quite a while, because the lockdown is expected to last at least until the beginning of December. So as I said, I live in the northeast of England, and the plan last Wednesday was to visit a few towns in Northumberland, which is about a little bit further north from where I live. I live in County Durham, and I planned on going to Northumberland. There's some nice towns in Northumberland. So the first place I went to was Morpeth, and I'll show you a few pictures in a few moments of Morpeth. It's a nice market town, has quite a lot of charity shops, no record shops in itself, and had a look through the shops there. I'm not going to claim that the finds in this video are amazing ones, because they're not really. I just wanted to show you what can be found. Some days you scour the charity shops and find absolutely nothing, but I did find something, and I'm going to show you the records that I found first of all in Morpeth. So in Morpeth I visited nearly every charity shop. At the moment they're limiting how many people can come in, so often you have to wait outside the door, and those of you who live in England will know that experience. So I found 3 albums. I wouldn't say they're amazing, but one of them I was actually quite pleased to find, and that's this one, and it's a Cilla Black album. So don't laugh. If you live outside of the UK, you may not know Cilla Black, but she started around the same time as the Beatles. She's from Liverpool, and she was the cloakroom girl at the Cabin, and she went on to great success and recorded quite a few songs that the Beatles wrote for her, or Paul McCartney wrote for her. So she was a big deal. And this is an album from 1966. It's on Parlophone. It's in mono. Some nice cover versions. Quite unusual cover versions. I guess the best cover version on here is a version of Make It Easy on Yourself, the Bacharach and David song. There's Scylla on the back with her lovely skinny legs. So this is Scylla Sings a Rainbow. Yes, quite pleased to get it. It was $3.99, so fairly expensive for a charity shop, but this is the second Cilla Black album I've bought in about a year, and if I see any more other 60s albums or even early 70s albums, I will buy them. Now the next one, going over to the USA, I nearly didn't buy because it has a really tatty cover, but I thought it was a bit of a curio, and it's from a TV series from the late 60s, which in some ways was sort of a zany American answer to Monty Python, a sketch show called The Laugh-In, or Rowan and Martin's Laugh-In. And so this is a Laugh-In 69, and it's there's all the wacky characters, comedy characters from the TV series, and Goldie Hawn, there she is. I guess she was the most famous, or to become the most famous, member of the Laugh-In team. I have played this once, and it's full of gags and wacky tunes, but I quite like the sleeve, and you know, this nice 60s lettering. So that was the second album I bought in Morpeth in Oxfam, and the third album I bought in Oxfam is from the early 60s. I've been listening to quite a bit of pre-Beatles UK rock and roll recently, and this is an example of that, albeit a rather smooth version of it, and it's the only album I've ever bought by Cliff Richard. It's Cliff Richard and the Shadows, and it's the soundtrack to the film The Young Ones, and it is this was $1.99. It's on EMI. Yeah, the Shadows, I do like the Shadows. They're instrumental guitar band fronted by Hank Marvin, the main guitarist. It's on this really nice dark green Columbia label. So that's my first ever Cliff Richard album. You see lots of his 70s and 80s albums in charity shops, but not so much his 60s ones. And The Young Ones was rather not a brilliant film, but you know, it's a, hey, let's put on a show, young person's film, but of the time. So fairly pleased with that. So they were the three records I bought in Morpeth, and from there I moved on to the next town, which is rather more attractive town. People of Morpeth won't be happy hearing me say that, but it's a town called Alnwick in Northumberland, and I think it was voted, for what it's worth, a while back, one of the best places to live in the UK. So I'll show you after the slideshow of Alnwick what I managed to find in the charity shops and antique shops of Alnwick. In the town called Alnwick, I didn't really have any luck in the charity shops, just the usual Val Doonican, Harry Seacombe albums, a lot of tatty old classical albums. But there's an antique centre in Alnwick, and it has some very interesting books, lots of interesting pictures. I could stay there for ages. But they do have, or this place does have quite a large album section, and they had some good stuff, quite overpriced at times. They had a Shirley Collins and the Albion Band album, which I looked at and put back because it was over £25. In the end I settled just for two records. I've shown this band before, the Fifth Dimension, a harmony pop soul band from the 60s and early 70s as well, and this is The Age of Aquarius by the Fifth Dimension. It's from 1969. and I played this the other night and it is fantastic. Very much of its time. Includes some music from the musical Hair. There's a version of Sunshine of Your Love, Working on a Groovy Thing, and some versions of Laura Nero's, I have to remember how to pronounce that correctly, Laura Nero's songs, including Wedding Bell Blues. And didn't Morrissey cover that recently? Anyway, great, very nicely produced, punchy, great vocals, fantastic album to add to my Fifth Dimension collection, The Age of Aquarius. The next, or the second album I bought in Alnwick in the same antique place is an album by the Electric Light Orchestra. And this is a compilation called The Light Shines On. It's on Harvest Heritage, that lovely Roger Dean designed Harvest label. As you probably know, Electric Light Orchestra went on to huge success around the world as ELO, but this is a compilation from their first two albums, and this is when Roy Wood was still working with Jeff Lynne as a kind of a side project from The Move. Jeff Lynne joined The Move after leaving the Idle Race, and it was Roy Wood's aim to combine sort of rock and roll music with classical strings, and they did it really well in the early days of the band, I think, and I like most of the material on here. Not a big fan of later ELO. I just find the sound just too sort of busy, too compressed, and I've heard those songs so many times on the radio that I find them really irritating. But as you've seen from my previous videos, I'm a really big fan of Roy Wood, and there's some really lovely songs on here. But there's a great song written by Jeff Lynne called Mama on here, and I've forgotten how great the version of Roll Over Beethoven is by Electric Light Orchestra, and the 10538 Overture, which is another Jeff Lynne song. So great combination of talents there, and this is from the early 70s. Has someone's name stuck on the back, not written with biro as is normal with used vinyl, but one of those not hole punch, but the things where you could write your letter and put the letters and then stick it on wherever you wanted to, on your sports bags or your LPs in the 70s. Electric Light Orchestra, The Light Shines On. And then late afternoon, I moved on to make the most of the day on to the coast and visited a little small town called Amble. Now, watch this very short slideshow of Amble, and I'll show you what I bought there next. So not exactly rich pickings in the town of Amble. I've got two albums, both from the same charity shop. I think there were about 3 charity shops in Amble, but 2 of them are closed. But the other one did have quite a lot of singles, which I did look through and didn't really find anything I wanted. But I did find this for £1.50, and it's The Best of Aphrodite's Child. I saw Dale from Gatefold 33 recently show an album by Demis Roussos, he was sort of a middle-of-the-road singer from Greece, who used to wear a big kaftan and was really popular with the housewives of the 70s. But this, as you probably know, were Aphrodite's Child, were Demis Roussos's band that he was in before he went rather more mainstream. And they are a kind of a prog band, I have to say, and this is on the Philips label. And I listened to this once so far, and really, really enjoyable. Prog rock, melodic prog rock with on the Philips label, with a slightly sort of Greek flavour. So really pleased to get this for £1.50. Plays very well, it's very clean. Probably one of the best finds of the day. The next album is on the Music for Pleasure label, I think, which British people will be familiar with as a budget label. And this one, you might think I was clutching at straws here, getting rather desperate at the end of the day. It's by the St Winifred School Choir, and it's called And the Children Sing. Now, in the 70s, the St Winifred School Choir, who I think were from somewhere in the northwest of England, Manchester somewhere, Did a lot of backing singing on the hit. I think they sang on the hit Clive Dunn hit Grandad, and they also played on Matchstick Dogs and Matchstick Men. Anyway, they had quite a high profile for a school choir. Now, the reason why I bought this is because I noticed that one of the songs on here is, although they do a version of Mull of Kintyre. So this is from 1980, and a version of Bright Eyes. But the reason why I bought this is because there's a song on it written by Tony Hatch, which I really like, called Colour My World. Now, I've not played this yet, but the original version of Colour My World from the 70s or early 70s, I think, was a real psych pop classic. So I'll play that later on and see what I think of St Winifred's School Choir. So that was the haul for last Wednesday when I went round a few towns in Northumberland. And as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, we are heading towards another lockdown, so we only have another 2 days to shop in record shops, or charity shops indeed. So the next few days, if I get a little bit of time off from working, I'll do some of that, and I guess some of you will be doing the same thing. So I hope you enjoyed this slightly different theme to the video, this sort of on the road day in the life of a record hunter. I hope everyone's well. Thank you for your comments. Thank you as ever for your subscriptions and the interaction. I'll be making another video soon, but it won't be probably records that we bought in the shops, as we now enter into, as I heard somebody say on the radio this morning, English lockdown, the sequel. So look after yourselves, stay safe, see you soon, bye for now.